Hi, welcome back to 30 Days of Going Inside because we can't go outside. And today is day 27, Replenish. So today we're going to talk to you a little bit about sleep. And we're very aware that at the moment this is a bit of a hot topic and there's lots of stuff out there about basic sleep hygiene and how to support yourself if you're having a few problems sleeping during the lockdown. So we don't want to repeat that. What we do want to do is we want to just share a couple of insights that we've gained over the years because both Rachel and I have struggled at various points in our lives with sleep. So for myself, it was when I was a young child, probably sort of around the age of 10 to 13 maybe. And I had really bad insomnia. I was roaming around the house at night, unable to sleep. And I feel like once you've had a period in your life where sleep is a real issue, it's very hard to trust your body and to trust yourself to be able to sleep. So I've had a difficult relationship with sleep ever since, really. And Rachel, you've also had problems with sleep, haven't you, in adulthood?
Yes, I had 2 serious bouts of insomnia as an adult, and they both coincided almost perfectly with running 2 marathons. And I took part in a sleep scientific experiment, as it were, at St Thomas's Hospital. And what I learnt from that is at the heart of a healthy night's sleep is a healthy hormone balance, and serotonin and melatonin are those 2 neurotransmitters that kind of regulate mood, appetite, but most importantly sleep. They're kind of day and night. They kind of do opposite jobs, but it's important that they work harmoniously in order to keep your body balanced. So serotonin, most of us know it as the happy drug. It's the one that when we wake up in the morning gets us going, gets us motivated. And melatonin is the hormone of darkness. It winds us down and helps us feel sleepy and a little bit lethargic. And without it, we don't get a restorative night's sleep. So melatonin is boosted in darkness, serotonin is boosted in light. A lack of melatonin, which is what I experience, leads to a lack of sleepiness. A lack of serotonin can lead to bouts of depression and lethargy. So it's important that we try and increase our melatonin at night and we increase our serotonin in the morning. It sounds so simple. So in the evening, what's really important is that we do dim our lights, that we do switch off our screens, and in particular turn off our blue ray lights on screens and telephones, because we know that that really intrudes in our natural circadian rhythm. Also meditation, which we've talked about in previous days on 30 Days of Going Inside, really important as well to actually preparing us to sleep properly with the right levels of melatonin to help us get a restorative night's sleep. And in the morning, it's best to get up, as much sunlight as possible, and to get outside so that we can boost our serotonin levels and therefore our motivation levels. And one thing that I found really useful too was looking at melatonin boosting and serotonin boosting foods. So for melatonin, cherries, cherry juice, oats, milk, bananas, which is why doctors recommend a banana along with hot milk before we go to bed. And for serotonin boosting foods, eggs and chicken, nuts and seeds. So that's what I learned, and that really helped me actually rebalance myself in terms of serotonin and melatonin, and my sleep quickly after that got back to a normal pattern.
That's really interesting, Ray. I didn't know all that stuff about food. I had heard a bit about menopause, actually, and cherry juice being an important food, and now I understand why. So one of the things that was challenging for me as an adult, as I said, my relationship with sleep, ever since the insomnia as a child, has always been a bit fragile, is I noticed that I was getting more and more rigid with my routines and needing to create this perfect environment. And I'd almost get a bit stressed about that, about going to sleep, knowing that I might not get to sleep very quickly, so I'd be a bit worried about noises and light and things. And I remember sort of realising that this sort of rigid routine actually made going to sleep such a sort of conscious effort that it made it less and less likely that I would get to sleep. And one of the things that I've found helpful is like you say, thinking about the foods you eat and the sort of activities you're doing, but just trying to think about the way we often, if you've ever had small children or looked after small children, we try and create routines, don't we, to help them get to sleep. We don't ever stick a 2-year-old in front of a massive TV and bright lights and watch something quite stimulating and then say, right, off you go to bed, and expect them to go to sleep. We create a quiet routine. We calm down the stimulation. We give them a warm drink. We cuddle them. We read them a story. We turn the lights down. We make sure they're warm. And then we kind of put them to bed. And sort of trying to sort of treat myself in the way that I would treat a small child has actually been quite helpful, to sort of encourage myself to wind down. I know, for example, if I watch something really stimulating on the telly, or if I go to a busy social event, it takes me a long time to kind of come down from those situations. So just being kinder to myself if I'm in bed and I'm not asleep, to sort of perhaps just be a bit more accepting of that and a bit kinder to myself about it. So a breakthrough moment for me came when I went to see Kelly Wilson, who's an ACT therapist and trainer and all-round kind of lifestyle guru, talk about his relationship with sleep. And he talked about this thing called sleep opportunity, which is whereby he gives his body the opportunity to sleep for 8 to 8.5 hours a night. And sometimes his body is able to take that opportunity and he is asleep. And sometimes he's not asleep, he's awake, but he remains lying down in a darkened room. He'll do a breathing meditation. And if sleep comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. He's more accepting of this wakeful state. And for me, that's been a revelation. So now if I'm awake in the night, which sometimes I am, partly I'm sure due to my age, and partly just because that's the way my body is with sleep, I'm much more accepting of that state, that it's okay, I'm still lying down, my body will still benefit from this in some way. It's not sort of, really top level sleep, i.e. unconscious, but I'm still giving my body this opportunity and it's still going to get some benefit from this, and it's all right. And then before you know it, I'm probably doing a body scan and slipping back into sleep.
Yeah, and I can really empathise with that, because it turned out that my unwillingness to accept periods of wakefulness was actually what maintained my insomnia. Also a very unhelpful story or series, cluster of thoughts around the fact that if I hadn't had enough sleep, that meant that I wasn't able to drive or be a fit parent. And so it became an obligation to sleep, unlike Kelly Wilson's opportunity to sleep. And so that really contributed towards that very detrimental sleep cycle that lasted for 12 weeks. It's a long time.
And that goes back to sort of day 14 and day 15, doesn't it? When we were talking about acceptance and primary experience and secondary experience. And being awake in the middle of the night is not pleasant, and we can react to it and sort of grow it through our secondary experience.
Yeah, which is exactly what I did, and then it proliferates and becomes much more convincing.
So if we summarise, it's about practicing acceptance of the wakeful state, which is challenging, it's not easy, but we've both experienced how profound that can be. And it's about thinking about routines and what we're doing in order to create an environment in which sleep is more likely to come. And I've also noticed that in my work at the moment, a lot of people are in threat mode a lot of the time, or at least they were at the beginning of this pandemic. Maybe it's reducing a bit, but we're all still a bit more likely to be in threat mode than normal. And that's not very conducive to sleep. So when we're in threat mode, we're alert, we're awake, we're scanning for danger, our mind is active and problem solving. And so it's trying to get into that soothing mode as well, isn't it? The green mode. And those are some of the things that you talked about in terms of boosting melatonin. Same sort of activities, isn't it? Sort of dim light, calming, soothing, touch.
Yeah, and it's also about being kind to yourself too. It's like you were saying, sort of like, with a young child, you'd make sure that they're sort of soothed, safe, secure, and we need to treat ourselves in the same way too.
Yeah, bit of self-compassion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Lovely. Thank you very much, Lou. I hope you have a
Alright.
good night's sleep tonight. So just an invitation for people out there to think about those sort of nighttime and those morning routines, and to see whether or not you can maybe shift that relationship with any periods of wakefulness you have in this particular point in our lives, which has been disrupting for all of us. Talking of which, tomorrow is day 28 and we will be looking at disrupt. So look forward to seeing you then.
Okay, see you then.
Bye.
Bye.